Good afternoon.
Hi, how are you?
Good. How are you?
Very good.
I want to thank you for accepting to join me to this. I don't remember the 12th episode of the Teaching Tidbits live series. I'm very happy to be able to continue this conversation with a few colleagues from CUNY and outside of CUNY that we've been able to connect through our work in educational technology, online learning, and I wanted to first of all welcome Laura for being with us, and I wanted to first, ask you for to give us a few tell us a little bit about yourself and also how you're feeling today.
Well, I'm feeling great today. I am the assistant director of digital media at Manhattan College, meaning that I do their video and photography for their marketing department. And I also just graduated from there with my master's in instructional design and delivery. So I'm involved with a lot of instructional design, e-learning, educational technology, and going to be teaching some class in the fall for them as well. So I'm on kind of both sides. I'm on the administrator and the faculty side. And so it's been really an honor to be able to talk to you and kind of bring both sides of it if I can.
Excellent. And then I remember seeing or reading one of your tips about camera lighting. This is something that we usually don't think about, and but then nowadays is huge. We are, I don't know how many times we are connected through some type of virtual meeting, and then we will be discussing about this in this program. But before we do that, I wanted to have a conversation with you about what we all are going through. It's many things that are changing, and we're going through a global pandemic, and many things have been shifting and changing. So with all of these changes, how has your work and life responsibilities shifted?
I think for everybody, it's shifted dramatically. I mean, like you said, there's everyone's becoming their own video producer. And so, with my main job as someone who goes around campus filming, taking pictures, a lot of my work, I'm doing a lot less filming, a lot less camera work, and I'm doing a lot more editing. So, people are sending in either their end of year performances, the jazz band, the singers are sending in their own performances. People are doing their events online, and we're just kind of working with whatever technology they're using. And it's been really interesting. It's been a lot more editing and a little less filming, which on a week like this week, where this would be our normal graduation week, it's a little bit sad because that's really my favorite time of year to film and to go around and to meet people and see their families and everyone celebrating. So it's been very different in terms of responsibilities. In terms of my life responsibilities, that has also just been crazy. There's been a lot more emphasis on family. Obviously, we're all home, but with the COVID-19 pandemic, my dad passed away in April. So it's been a lot to deal with, and a lot to shift in terms of priorities and responsibilities. So it's been a lot, I'm sure, for everybody. I can't hear you. That's technology.
I keep doing this for, I don't know, for a number of times that
Tip number one, unmute your microphone.
I put my mic, and then I forget to. No, I was saying that we had a conversation when we reconnected, and from our heart we feel very sorry for you lost, and then
Thank you.
we just hope that as all of this is going is happening to us, we're sure that we're going to be very stronger when this comes and when this disappears. And talking about all of these changes that we have had, and also seeing what's going on out there, you have been in contact with faculty, you have been in contact with students, administrators, and there is this sense of being connected to work 24/7, and feeling exhausted. And so how do you balance this, you know continuum in having work and life in the same environment?
I think it's been, I think I kind of practiced for this in a way, if that is even possible. So a few years ago, I started a podcast called the Louder Vision Podcast for Creative People. And I started interviewing people who were freelancers. And that was kind of the main target that I was looking at, and asking them a lot of questions, because I was myself interested in becoming a freelancer, becoming an entrepreneur. And I did take that leap of my own based on that research from interviewing them. And so I felt like when we started working from home, which was probably in March, I felt like I was prepared for that because I have done it. Maybe 2 years ago, I started full-time work again in terms of like a steady 9 to 5. But I was doing my freelance business successfully on its own for about a year. So I feel like I was prepared for it. The schedule is definitely different. The pace is a little bit slower, but then at times there's like a rush of things that has to get done. And of course, we're in New York City, so that go 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 all the time is still there. But you have to be able to kind of manage your schedule a little bit better, and it isn't as much of a 9 to 5 anymore. It's like, well, I'm going to be working on something really late tonight because that's what the expectation is. And so you just kind of balance it out and you make sure you have time for all your responsibilities. And I think something good about working from home, because I really enjoy working from home, is that introspection and that quiet time to be able to be in your own space. And it's not like going from one meeting to another, and you don't really have time to unwind. And so as on that introvert spectrum, I'm not like, no one's 100% on either direction, but as an introvert, it helps me to be able to decompress and have that quiet time. So for me, the tips that I would recommend is to use that quiet time to build a practice of your own, whatever that is. For me, it's been gratitude. It helps me know my priorities. It helps me realize that where I live now is I'm very grateful for that, and where I recently moved, and to have this extra room that was my art space that all of a sudden just became my office. I mean, you can't get more grateful. You can't forget the things that you're grateful for, because it does help. And so that's helped me with balance a lot. And one more thing I would recommend that I don't think people always realize is, when you're working from home, you are still working. And so you should still schedule in those vacation days, even if you're not leaving and actually going on vacation. You still have to stay home, but taking a day for yourself is definitely necessary. And it can help with brightening your perspective and keeping you positive. It's definitely helped for me.
Those are great tips, and it's true. With the fact that we're home, then you want to take a day off and say, well, I'm home.
I know, and you feel bad about it.
So I'm going to continue working, but it's true.
Yeah.
We need to make sure that we identify a time that will allow us to decompress, get some air, do nothing, or do other things that will help you in get that balance back, in perspectives and so on. Any tips that you have about these high levels of stress and anxiety that we're having nowadays? Anything that has worked for you?
Well, when we were not quarantined, I used to go get massages. We can't do that as much anymore. So I've been making sure to take baths and to do the self-care stuff that I can at home. I'm running out of candles, so we're getting to a bad place. But candles are very helpful for me. Aromatherapy, things like that. So things that I used to practice by going to get a massage, I'm kind of bringing it into my house, if that makes any sense.
No, but that is useful. Something that will allow you to disconnect and meditate. Have
Yeah,
a
and even that gratitude practice that I was talking about, to be able to kind of step back for a minute and not be so involved with what you're doing at the moment, to be able to step back and like look at yourself and say, wow, I am grateful that I actually have a job right now, instead of just worrying about whatever little thing is bothering you. To be able to step back from yourself is really helpful.
that is true. And one of the questions that I wanted to ask, because I'm sure a lot of people would be wanting to hear, because we usually, as you said, we had to be our own producers,
Yes.
in a sense. And this is something that it takes time, it takes
Mhm.
practice, it takes knowledge to make sure that then you're able to get the proper setup, the proper lighting for a video shot to be looking good. So we wanted to ask you, as we are seeing that we have several virtual meetings during the day, any tips that you would like to share on how we can set up the environment, what to keep in mind, what type of devices. Sometimes we think that we need to have, the most expensive equipment, which sometimes,
Mhm.
it will be ideal, but then you can
Yeah.
do a lot of things with what we have.
Yeah, that's the biggest misconception. Even with some of the photographers that I work with, they think if they have the most expensive camera and the most expensive lens, that makes them a good photographer, and that's not always the case. Like there are a couple very inexpensive items that you can find on Amazon or wherever you want to find them, that will make your setup kind of work. So I ended up buying a webcam because I was using my cell phone, and for some reason it would only stand up like this. Like I couldn't really get it to stand up horizontally. So I was, looking like I'm in this thin kind of screen, and then it's from below. And I think most people know that they look better from a higher angle. So the webcam being on top of my monitor is much better for an angle of view. And you see some people on their laptop with it on their lap, and you're just looking up their nose the whole time. So it's the angle is really important. Your background is really important, but you don't have to, be an art director or be in some fancy space. You can just kind of put whatever you want behind you, and as long as it's not distracting, I think that's really helpful. Like I have a door here, and we've all seen like people walk in on people's newscasts and things like that. And if you have a little bit of control over your environment, that is something that's okay to have in the background. But if I had kids, for example, I would not sit here with this door right behind me because you never know what could walk through it. So another item in terms of the angle is this little. I bought 3 of these for $10 on Amazon. It's just a cell phone holder, and you can sit your cell phone on it, and you can adjust the height. So it just sits there, and then the camera goes right in there. So that's a really helpful tool, but I wouldn't suggest putting it down. You want to stack it up on some books. Um, the ultimate most important thing about making yourself look good on camera is lighting. And you don't need like a professional light. I ended up buying this. Here's my other props here. This light, it's a ring light, and this is what it looks like. And it clips onto things, so you can clip it onto the top of your computer, and it has different levels of lighting. But as you see, I put it on my face and I look insane. So I ended up putting it over here, which is on top of my stack of hard drives, which all editors will have as well. So if you don't have to have the light right in your face, because it can be kind of harsh. So just kind of practicing where the light will still illuminate you, so it can bounce off of the wall. I have blue walls in here, but if you have white walls, it's even better. You can kind of like put it up to the ceiling and let the light kind of do its thing. And then there's also lighting to consider in terms of the color of lighting. A lot of people have a lamp that they'll put next to their face, but then they have the windows. So you have like an orange light on this side and a blue light from the sun on the other side, and that can look really distracting as well. So there's definitely a lot of tips. There's a lot of things, but I'd say lighting, audio, making sure that you're in a quiet room, and audio, lighting, and your background are probably the most important thing. So having that camera at the right height, that counts as background, because if the camera was down lower, you would see my ceiling as my background, but because it's up high, you see some things on the wall here. So speaking of that article, I did kind of list these things out, and I'm going to be doing, when I feel more productive, I'm going to be doing a Skillshare course on this, so we can kind of like walk through step by step, but it is definitely different for everybody. So whatever room you have, I would say just like work with it, do your best, and kind of test things out. Like it's okay to try something one day and then change your mind and try something else another day.
And as you were speaking, I was typing some of the tips that you were providing, so that it will be useful for
Yeah.
our audience. And you gave practical tips, and some tips that are, things that are not expensive in thinking about the lighting. Sure that and it is true. We want to make sure that then you don't have different colors in your face,
Yeah.
on the lighting, and things like that. Any other tips that you have? Because we've seen also and this has been very common in the audio problem that we have. So you hear echoes, you hear uh, a lot of background noise. And what are the suggestions that you have in terms of what to keep in mind with their computers, their mobile devices, and things like that?
Well, I think somewhat of a more advanced explanation of the way our phones and microphones work is, so it's going to always pick up. It's kind of on an auto setting. Our cameras are. Let's use our phone for example. So our phone is on an auto setting in terms of the audio levels. So it's looking for whatever the loudest thing in the room is at that moment, and then it's amplifying that thing. So whether that's your voice, then your voice will come across clearly. But sometimes you stop talking and you hear like shh, and that's because it's not hearing your voice anymore. So it's trying to find like what's the next loudest thing in the room, and that could be your air conditioner, or I don't know, something in another room, or maybe there's jackhammers going on outside, which I think this week they're going to start doing that again, construction. So if you can reduce the amount of noise in the room that you're in, at least that will be what you can control. That is literally within your zone of what you can control. And then other than that, I would say try to keep, TVs off, anything off that would be distracting, because your microphone will look for that sound and amplify it. I think that's kind of the main culprit of bad audio. There are also microphones you can plug into your phone and then hook it on, like a lavalier microphone. So you just clip it on, and that will make your audio really sound a lot better. But usually when we're doing like a web conference, we're talking to our computer or to our phone. So we're already pretty close to it. So if you're within like 3 feet of your camera, you shouldn't really have a problem with volume, with it being able to hear you. The only problem you may come across is if you're not on mute and you have other people talking and your speaker's up really loud, the microphone's going to pick that up, and that's why you hear that like reverb sound that like sounds crazy. So headphones are good unless you're going to keep your sound pretty low on your speaker.
And this is very common. I've seen a lot of this, that people are speaking and then making their their audio, also the sound of their computers being very high, and then the static and all of this noise.
Mhm.
One of the things that I've seen, it and I think it will depend also on the computer that you have.
Mhm.
Some computers have really good microphones.
Yeah.
Some have really bad microphones,
Mhm.
and if they can have one of those headsets, I've seen that help in improving in the use of the microphone.
Yeah, and I mean the main reason I think those are really helpful is because the microphone is by your face, so you're not likely to hit it. So sometimes when I'll put a lavalier clip-on microphone on someone on their shirt, and there are those people that kind of talk and with their hands, they'll hit it, and then you can't hear what they're saying. All you hear is that loud noise. Or if people are using their laptop or their phone, you hear all this noise of their hands kind of jangling around and hitting things because the microphone is going to pick up whatever is closest to it. So if you're using a webcam like I am where the microphone is built in, I'm not going to go up here and hit the microphone. So that reduces a lot of the chance for error for you to hear those kind of banging noises that are really distracting.
Excellent. So we have great tips to keep in mind. So we're hoping that this is been useful for you, and then we are going to be seeing, you know, better structured video frames and lighting. I'm gonna look for those that rim light.
You look great already.
I've been trying to play with the background, and then that was one of the challenges. Also, trying to find a space within what would be the
Yeah.
space within the house to be able to get the concentration and the office space
Mhm.
to work.
It's challenging. Yeah. I mean, I filmed in at Manhattan College. We have a chapel, and it's a really huge space, and the echo in there is you can't get rid of it. There's no way. So when you're looking for a space, you might think going into the room that has a bunch of clothes in it might not be the best room, but actually a room that has like that um, has textiles in it, like things like I have over there, like a what are those called? It's like a cloth artwork. So like you can
Mhm.
put those on the wall or you can just hang some clothes around there. It'll kind of absorb the sound and it won't sound as echoey.
Yeah, that's a useful exercise. If people are
Mhm.
hearing echo, then they want to try. They might want to get those nice T-shirts that they have that they like. They can put it as a decoration in there, and then
Or like even just like a curtain, put up a curtain in your room or sit with like the way I'm sitting now. If the wall behind the camera had like a sheet up on the wall or something, that would definitely capture the sound a little bit and it would stop the echo. So if you've seen like people in recording studios, you see that foam on the wall, it does the
Mhm.
same kind of thing if you put some cloth on the wall.
Great. So you put in practical tips. You don't have to go and buy expensive equipment. You have your own clothes or curtains. Try it, and then you'll see the difference in how you're doing. I'm gonna try some of those as well, and then we'll see. I'll let you know whether I was a good student and I was able to. I want to ask a final question, and we've been going through as I mentioned, we've been going through many things, and there has been a lot of challenges. There have been a lot of opportunities as well. What takeaways has this transition left you with?
I think, we started working from home in March, and I think the biggest thing that I'm hoping that will come out of this is the flexibility from employers and from colleges to let their employees work from home a little more to see that we are as productive from home. Also, I having just studied instructional design and being in that world of e-learning and instructional technology, I kind of feel like it's unfair, like the way that we had to shift to online learning with just a week or 2 weeks notice. I really feel for the professors and the students that had to go through that. And I don't want us to judge the quality of those classes based and just apply that to blanket over all of e-learning and think that, the students are not happy with the quality of their classes right now, or maybe they're thinking I'm not going to come back in the fall, or they want a partial refund, or I mean, we see that a lot right now. I don't want e-learning to be kind of the victim of this situation, because most classes would be great in an online environment, which it's just that we have to look at them on an individual basis, and they have to be given the proper amount of time to make that transition and to really use the expertise from people who are instructional designers to make those classes work online, and not just take an in-person class and say, we're going to put it online. That's not really doing it justice. So I'm just hoping that, this was not an ideal situation to be trying out online learning on this scale. But I hope that everyone gives it a chance to succeed and that we're open to new possibilities.
You mentioned, a great point in the sense of e-learning was the only option we had,
Yeah.
and it has helped everybody to continue doing learning, to continue doing work, and for one, the exposure that a lot of faculty and students have had to online learning, it would be providing an opportunity to consider this environment more, in many different perspectives, and how they could make up this much better. And of course, with more time, and we're hoping to see, we're already seeing, we're providing training to faculty for the summer as we are teaching fully online. So they have more opportunities to read, design, identify how things will be working better for the summer. And I'm assuming that will be also being true for the fall. And then we'll see a lot more richer experiences for our students and faculty.
Yeah, I think if we give it the chance to have the amount of time that is needed to design an online class, because it's not easy. I mean, most of these classes are just the same class that we had last year with a couple of improvements to it. So we're completely redesigning a lot of these classes, and it has to be given the proper amount of time and effort to do that. So I'm just hoping, and I agree, I think in the fall we're going to also be online.
Excellent. And one of the things that is also important to mention is that there's a lot of work going on behind the scenes. There's many people like yourself, myself, and everybody that is working at the colleges to make sure that then we're continuously improving whatever was not working well in the first try, but then making sure that then we're able to provide all of the support for our students and faculty as well. Laura, I want to thank you a lot for joining me today, and I hope for everybody that is connected that these tips would be useful. I hope that also you can provide as your questions, provide your comments. Let us know whether this was something that you used, and any questions. Also, Laura is going to be also taking a look at these streams and providing responses if you have any questions. Many thanks for being with us.
Thank you
And
so much.
we'll be connected until the next time we have another Teaching Tidbits.
Yes, nice to speak with you.
Bye bye.